Welcome to Hidden Chronicles, where we explore the world's most intriguing mysteries and unsolved cases. Join us as we uncover hidden truths and dive into the unknown.
The Case of the Park Maniac, a horror story in São Paulo, Brazil. In the second half of the 1990s, the city of São Paulo lived under the fear caused by a man who became known as the Park Maniac. Francisco de Assis Pereira, an ordinary-looking pizza delivery man, hid for a long time a disturbed mind, responsible for deceiving, raping and killing several women in Brazil's largest city. Starting in 1997, Francis began to approach his victims on the busy streets of São Paulo. Using his charisma and presenting himself as a fashion photographer, he lured women with promises of photo shoots that would supposedly help them break into the world of fashion. He spoke convincingly, showed magazines and claimed that he had contacts in large agencies. The place chosen by Francisco to commit his crimes was the State Park, a vast area of forest in the south zone of São Paulo, popular with visitors during the day, but isolated and dangerous at night. It was there that he lured his victims, promising photos in the middle of nature, an ideal setting for a professional book. Once in the park, Francis revealed his true face. He used physical violence to overpower his victims, often tying them up and subjecting them to brutal abuse. After raping them, he strangled them, ensuring that none survived to report the crimes. The coldness with which he acted shocked even the most experienced investigators. The case began to gain attention when women's bodies began to be found in the state park in July 1998. Initially, the murders were treated as isolated crimes. But as the number of victims increased, it became clear that there was a pattern. All the women were young, had similar physical characteristics, and were approached in a similar way. The press began to report the discovery of the bodies, and the city went on alert. Women began to avoid going out alone, especially at night, and the state park became synonymous with fear. With growing pressure from society, the police intensified their investigations. Accounts from survivors and witnesses were crucial in profiling the criminal. Some women who managed to escape Francis described him as a soft-spoken man who used his profession as a photographer as a pretext to approach them. In August 1998, Francisco de Assis Pereira was identified as the main suspect. At the time, he was already on the run and was located in the city of Itaqui, in Rio Grande do Sul, trying to flee to Argentina. During his arrest, he confessed to the crimes with details that shocked the police. According to him, he had murdered at least 11 women and raped several others. During interrogations, Francis showed coolness and absence of remorse. His motivation, he said, came from a deep hatred for women, especially after a series of rejections in his personal life. Psychologists and psychiatrists who reviewed his case classified him as a psychopath, someone incapable of empathy but extremely skilled at manipulating and deceiving. In addition, Francisco was obsessed with horror films and true crime stories, which, according to experts, may have influenced the methodical way he committed the murders. His ability to gain the trust of victims, combined with his coldness, made him one of the most feared serial killers in Brazilian history. Francisco was put on trial and sentenced to more than 260 years in prison for murder, rape and kidnapping. As Brazilian law does not allow sentences of more than 30 years in prison, he remains incarcerated in a maximum security penitentiary. Despite his conviction, many families of the victims believe that the sentence was insufficient to repair the suffering caused.